Today we're joined by Kevin, one of the most successful Dutch dropshippers, and in this episode we'll talk about how he went from selling software in a 9-to-5 to e-commerce, his lessons while building a self-sustaining team, and his mindset tips to deal with the ups and downs that come with dropshipping. So let's get right into the episode. For the second episode of the Ecom Insider Talks by Agency Jeremy, we have one of our longest standing Dutch clients, Kevin, joining us. So Kevin, maybe give a quick introduction who you are, what do you do?
Yeah, sure. My name is Kevin. I live in the Netherlands and I've been doing e-commerce for almost 2 years now. And I think I was only into e-commerce for like maybe 5 or 6 months until I met you guys and we started to do business together. So we're almost doing business for like 1.5 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's still going strong. So
Great. Fun story. Actually, you were one of our first Dutch clients, like Dutch dropshipping clients, right, Reynes?
Really?
Yes. Actually, Rohan introduced you to us.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So that was pretty fun. Like prior to that, we had been like working with typical like US companies, and thanks, Kevin, we started working with more and more Dutchies.
Yeah, I think like at the period when I was talking with you guys, there were a lot of other Dutch dropshippers bargaining with you guys regarding the price and stuff. That's what I can remember in that period.
Great.
Yeah.
But maybe let's take the wheel back. I think for a lot of our listeners, it's going to be interesting, like how does dropshipping work in Netherlands? How does dropshipping work in Europe? So we can then compare the different landscapes between US, Europe. So Kevin, what was your journey to get into e-commerce, get into dropshipping? How did you get into the online world?
I just couldn't cope with working for a boss, man. That was the main issue. Like always this demands from people that you barely don't know, asking you stuff to do, and whenever you do it, you execute them. They're like, oh, okay, that's good. Now hop on to the next assignment. Like there was no really value in working for this kind of corporate, well, no, it's not corporate, like with corporate minded people that really don't care about your efforts as a person, but just as your efforts as a number. And I just couldn't cope with it. And I found myself having the struggles because first you start blaming like the boss, like it's the issue, it's the boss that's not good for me. But then I started blaming myself as well. Like, well, maybe I'm just the person that's just not fitting the whole business life, like working as an account manager, sales executive, selling stuff and things like that. So then, I started.
What did you do actually? So in terms of like what did you do before? Like what was your?
I sell ICT solutions as an account manager.
Gotcha.
ICT. What was that?
Let's say IT.
Gotcha.
But it's called ICT in our language. Isn't it just called the same in your language? Like just IT.
IT. Yeah.
Just software and hardware, like total setups for businesses with their hardware, and then with the software, with Microsoft 365, Teams, SharePoint, stuff like that.
That's interesting. For me, for example, I can definitely relate to that. Like have some very minor experience working in but like in different companies, like positions as well. Like for me, the biggest weird thing was that I was getting paid a fixed rate per hour. It wasn't affected by my performance. It was just slacking off for the whole hour. My pay didn't change. I didn't have no incentive to work more, to give more to the company. So it's kind of confused. Like why
as a salesman?
My coworkers? No, yeah, in like a shop I was working. That's super dry, selling clothes. But my pay wouldn't change if I were to sell more clothes, less clothes.
No, exactly. And like from other companies that I worked for, I've learned a lot about how you shouldn't treat your employees, because I was selling hundreds of thousands of euros as solutions to big companies, and even for me as a salesman in the business of business, there was no extra that I could earn, just my normal salary, and there were no incentives or anything, or bonuses or anything. And if there is a certain thing to demotivate your employees, it's not to show them like the gratitude, like to show them what they are actually worth. Like they're just like, oh, you can just move on to the next. And people just treat you because a lot of people think that if they are going to treat you very well, you are going to ask them more salary because they will give you more feeling of value. But that's not how it works. Exactly what you said, like, why would I sell one more computer? Why would I sell one more license for Microsoft Teams if I'm just getting the same salary at the end of the month?
100%, 100%. I mean, like this, I think for us, that is why entrepreneurship is so interesting for us, because there's a direct correlation. The more we work, the more we do, the more we get, which was personally like my main motivation, like the freedom, everything that comes with it. I think Rainus can also definitely relate to this.
100%, 100%. Like maybe I'm jumping the gun on this, but like I think this leads into, like, I know we haven't finished like your story and whatnot, but I think this just can make a great transition. Talking a little bit more about teams. I think we can get back to the story a little bit, but I know, like, from you and with some of our clients we've seen, you have Raju, you have, like, you've always been thinking of the team structure and everything. So like, I kind of, my question would be, like, from what you learned in working those corporate jobs, what were kind of the lessons you learned to align incentives and actually hire and retain high quality employees?
Well, first of all, you got to be patient, because like there's one thing you always got to keep in mind as an entrepreneur. Like, anyone that's working for you will not have the 100% exact same mindset as you have, because if they have the exact same mindset, then why would they work for you? And like me, myself, I'm pretty a perfectionist when it comes to delivering the work, when it comes to the websites. Like, everything has to be perfect, like every letter type, every header, every picture, anything, like it has to be picture perfect. And sometimes people want to have the same vision as you, but they simply cannot keep up with the same vision as you because they're not you. And like sometimes when you try to find employees, you want them to reflect like the exact same person as you are, but like that's not possible. And because you achieved so much yourself, because you are who you are, and you cannot just think that your employees are going to be the 100% same. So the first mistakes I made when hiring people is like thinking they can do the exact same as me within just a few moments, like working for me for a few days and thinking that they can do the exact same as how I would have done it. So yeah, you got to be patient, and you got to make sure that they learn from what you do and learn from their own mistakes, because they're definitely going to make a lot of mistakes in the beginning, because they don't know your organization, they don't know how you work yourself, they have their own habits, of course. And that's also something, like, how can you blame someone of doing it their way if they have worked their way, if they have been doing it this way for like a few years? Like, it's not very simple to reprogram their brains. It takes time. And that's in the beginning, like when the numbers were very good, we were like, oh, we were in heaven and everyone's so happy and we're doing great. And then a lot of shit collapsed because of the Facebook bans and stuff. And we went from a pretty high amount to a pretty low amount. And then everyone started to be a little bit like, well, not literally, but like feeling depressed. And I started blaming people, my employees, and my employees started blaming others within our organization. So there was like some kind of negative feeling on everyone, because we were so attached to the numbers. Like the numbers were subject to everyone working hard and feeling successful. But how are you going to deal with the downfalls? Because it's the same as crypto. It's not always bullish. It's also bearish, and you got to stand your man if you wanna grow. So what I learned from it is, instead of blaming people for making their mistakes, is asking them why they have made their mistakes and how what they should do to improve these points and not making the same mistakes again. So yeah, it's really a learning phase, and you can just not expect from anyone to do 100% as you want it within a few months. It takes time, maybe half a year, maybe a year. And in the beginning, we were just hiring, firing. And because we were simply seeking for someone who could literally do anything we wanted within just a few days or few hours. But that's not possible. It takes time. And I think you guys probably have the same, because you have, what I've heard is you've built a great team yourself as well.
100%. Like a lot of things you mentioned, like we have gone through the same learning curves. Like especially like when you start hiring your first people, you always expect them to do the same as you do, to be as good as you are. Like the first thing for me that I learned is that as a person, if you are a doer, you will naturally see other people as doers as well. But obviously, you view other people to your lens, but that's not necessarily the case. And the other thing you mentioned, well, giving feedback, being open about that, is actually one of the things I have personally been struggling with, but which I acknowledge. So if like a team member makes a mistake, often I don't voice it out, but if I can formulate in like a very clear way, hey, we see this mistake happening over and over again, do this the next time. For me, for some reason, it's hard to do, but right now I have been trying to do that more and more, and it's really basically been a game changer in a sense.
No, so sometimes like people say you gotta separate your private life from your business life, but in this kind of business that we're living in, it's not possible. So for you, Jacob, remember you worked selling clothes from 9 to 5. How was your mind after you left the building? We were still thinking about, oh my God, I've only sold like 10 trunks today, and I wanted to sell 15. Of course not, because you're getting paid the same amount every month. So there's no motivation to deliver something extra. And this is a different kind of area that we're in right now, because you're basically working with virtual employees, and because you're working with virtual employees, you cannot see their expression, you cannot see their faces, you cannot see their body language. You don't know what is going on with them in their private life. And I've had some employees that were quite, let's say, quite deep in shit. And yeah, I think I'm not going to go into detail, but let's say these kind of employees were not able to work anymore for me, as well mentally as physically. And instead of getting angry and thinking like, oh, my business will collapse, blah blah blah, I was showing more interest in the person herself and asking like, what's going on in your private life. And what I do with my employees right now is sometimes I just ask them how they're doing in their private life with my employees. And like, this girl was really deep into shit, and I already paid her in advance so she could cover some of the costs. But beside that, what I do with some of my employees when I have a feeling that they don't really have anything, they don't have everything on point, is I'm going to tell them to write down everything. So I made them some kind of question journal, and it really works well because they're feeling way better right now. And it basically asks every morning when they wake up, they have to fill it in. And the first 3 questions that they are being asked is, name 3 things that you're grateful for in your life. So that's the first 3 things that they are writing down. Then the second question is, how are you going to make this a perfect day? So they're writing down what they're going to do for the incoming day, because they're basically writing it down in the morning. And then the last question is, visualize how your perfect life would be. So because they're already writing down a lot of positive stuff about their lives, about how they want their life to be, what they're going to do today, and what they're grateful for, your mind is already reprogramming it in a positive state of mind. So you're already starting your day with a lot of positivity. Just imagine waking up and thinking like, oh, I'm coming too late for my appointment. Oh shit, I have to rush and stuff like that. It's already a different kind of mind that you're going into the day. So yeah, that's what I'm letting them do every day, even in a weekend. And I'm happy they're actually listening to me. So that means that they're taking it pretty serious. And before they go to bed, like the very last thing they do before they go to bed is writing down again. And then they're writing down some different kind of questions. So tell 3 things that happened to you today that had a positive impact on you. And it can be very simple. Like you walk on the street and just a random lady is smiling at you. And then I'm even writing it down myself every day, and it works for me as well. So let's say, for example, I was doing groceries and the girl just smiled at me. Or I was going to the gym and I could do one more rep than I could normally do. Just simple stuff like that. Like, or I had a nice conversation with a random girl over here at the co-working space. So you can
Or like Reigns and Jacob invited you onto the podcast as well, right?
exactly, yeah, exactly. That's actually one thing I'm going to write down. So and yeah, that's what I told them to do as well. And yeah, it kind of works for them because it reprograms your brain. It's called neuroplasticity or whatever. And it's reprogramming your brain from a negative thought to a positive one.
So with this, do you keep your team accountable? Like, do they need to, like, for example, show you proof that they've written
No,
that
bro.
message, or is it just kind
No,
of
bro.
like you can do that? Like, if you do, great. If not, then look, I'm trying to help you out.
I'm really trying to help them, and it's up to them if they wanted to do it or not. And like if they're telling me that they're doing it every day, then why would I ask for proof? Like, come on, I'm not a dictator or something. Like, oh, you haven't done it today.
No, it's more like accountability, right? Because like in some cases, like you use that as accountability. So I was curious about that, but yeah, it makes sense.
But you mean like if I accountability regarding productivity?
No, accountability regarding that, for example, like if they are having issues and you, for example, suggest and do those things, a lot of times people just don't take action on your like on suggestions. So
That's
like my
true.
question, yes, it's like my question about that was more specific, like, are you doing something to keep them accountable? Not in like, as a like in a dictator like manner, but more like, look, like I want to help you out and like I want to see that you do this. And for example, you can send me a picture of you writing it out. So that's kind of like more of a question.
No, because that wouldn't make it natural. That would more because I really want my employees to learn from the things that they're doing, and I actually don't want to do them. I don't want to let them do the things just because I'm checking out if they're actually doing it. So there's a difference between letting them do it genuinely, or letting them do it because
Gotcha.
they need it to do it for me, because they're not doing it for me, they're doing it for themselves. And if they don't want to do it, then okay, I've done my best. And if I really need to fire you, I can say for myself, I did my utmost to get the most out of you.
Like, what are the positive things you have seen this have within your team? Like more positivity, better performance.
Yeah, everything. Like because these people right now associate themselves only with positivity. Like there are 3 lines that you have to fill in for the first question in the evening, and those 3 questions, those 3 answers are anything related to positivity that you have experienced that day. And sometimes, yeah, even myself, when I had a bad day, I really have to dive deep into my mind, to my thoughts, like what have I actually done that was positive today, and there, or what have I experienced what that was positive. And there's always a little thing that's regarding anything positive. And I also let them write down like, what is your good deed of today? What's something positive that you did yourself today? And sometimes it's very hard to think about it because you basically had a normal day. But if you really think about what you have actually done, there's always a small thing that's regarding anything positive.
A bit of this, like, is it taken from like a book or something? Because I'm pretty sure
Yes.
Nick's and
I would
Jake's
really
agency is also doing it.
Yeah, I would really recommend it. It's called the 6-Minute Diary, and I'm actually 1 second. I have it with me occasionally.
As Kevin is away, Kevin Slander, I know you can hear this. Where's your AGR hoodie? Where is your AGR hoodie?
Why are you still asking me this, man? I even wear it at the fucking boat party, bro.
I know.
Come on, when I was with you.
I know.
You gotta check my Instagram for the Easter eggs,
Instagram,
bro.
yes.
Yeah, if you scroll through my pictures, you will definitely see an AGR hoodie. So this is the book. So yeah, it's in Dutch and it's reversed.
6-minute diary.
6-Minute Diary. Why I recommend everyone, beside being an entrepreneur or anyone else, to read it is because you will understand how your mind works, how the mind of a human being works. So if you go back to the prehistorical time, like from our ancestors, we are programmed with fear. So what does that mean? Like back in the days, we always had to watch out for like crazy animals because we didn't have weapons. We didn't have houses from bricks or anything. So we were always aware, like, isn't there a big animal that might bring me into danger or anything like that? So that's already where we started programming ourselves with anxious and negative thoughts and being aware for anything that's dangerous. And science has proven that if we walk through a crowd and there are some people smiling and some people are looking angry, we are more likely to remember the angry faces than the happy faces, because from deep inside our minds we are programmed to adapt to fear and adapt to negativity. So it's called neuroplasticity, to reprogram your brain and attach more to the positive thoughts. And that's also what happens within your team as well, like, and for you as well. And because of the vibrations, like if you're being very positive, it's most likely that your employees are also going to be more positive. Because I've had calls, not even with my employees, but with my friends. And at the beginning, my friend was sitting like this in his bed, like, you know, just feeling in the mindset of being lethargic and stuff like that. And after 1 hour, when I told him how I tried to reprogram my brain, he was sitting like this. Oh yeah, oh that's cool, man. And he was so positive, and you saw a smile on his face. So within 1 hour, because he really saw the benefits of it, he turned from showing some kind of being lethargic, like sitting, like almost laying in his bed, to sitting up with his back straight. And he was like adopting to the vibrations that I try to give to him, like in being in a positive state of mind. And that's really the exact same that's going to happen with your employees. Like if you give them some certain amount of positivity, they will adapt to your style. That's really what I see from my employees. I reflect to them. They reflect to them. How do I say it? Like, no, they are trying to reflect me, if you know what I'm saying.
100%. There was like a book I read, I think maybe like 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. I forgot the book's name, but it has like one story of like a shipwreck going to like Antarctica or something like that. Basically, there was a crew, and the captain had to basically save them. And there was like a month they had to spend in like the cold and whatnot. He knew like the most important thing is not like the resources they have, but like how positive, how happy the whole crew is. And he had to be the example of the crew. Everybody was looking up to him, and he made his best to basically to go through any problem, positive, happy, and so on, because it's also reflected within the team. You as the leader of the company, of the team, you can't be down. If you're down, the whole team will be down, because they're
Exactly
for hope. 100%.
Yeah, like you know, how can anyone that's looking up to you still be very positive if you're the one that's negative?
Right.
You know, they're adapting to your state of mind, and it's also called like some kind of vibrations. And if you're hanging out with a lot of positive people, you will get more positive yourself as well. And positivity leads to being more productive, getting more pleasure out of your work.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the book was Robert Greene Mastery. I'm 90% confident.
Might be.
Yeah,
But
because I read
one
that
of the
too.
favorite stories. Yeah, I have.
So it's about a captain that has to fix their ship.
There's like a shipwreck. Basically,
It's a real story,
like
by the way.
Yeah, like a crew in like Antarctica, and they like have to like spend like 30 days for whatever reason to survive. Maybe till like the next ship passes, and basically they have to make sure the whole group stays together. And the most important thing was not the resources they have, but like how happy, how positive the group is. If everybody started getting angry, they'd attack each other, like how everything would break down. But also like the same thing with like leadership and positivity. Like an easy example could be like a basketball team. If the team captain is down, the whole team will be down.
Exactly.
It's simple.
I think this also like it talks about in shows like you as a leader, like sometimes you just gotta eat shit. Like you might be having a shitty day, like you have something terrible that happens, but you can't let it get into you. And remember in that story exactly the same thing happened. The leader one time he got angry at some sort of bird or something like that. He shouted at it and like shown his anger. But then afterwards, like he realized, like, look, if I'm like this, everyone's gonna be like this. So he never just shouted or yelled at anything ever again during the trip, because like he knew that like he might be dealing with some shit. Like he in his mind might be thinking like, fuck, we're about to die. But you know, you just gotta keep the spirits up. And you can just
Exactly. And what's also like very beneficial for you not to do is to give a lot of criticism to your employees, to criticize them. I used to do it a lot myself, and I still regret it, because that's another book that I'm reading. But it's like, if you criticize people, it's never going to work out better for them. Because the only thing is, they're going to doubt themselves. They're going to ask themselves, what did I do wrong? Why does he criticize me? And they're going to feel a little bit down. Like if you try to instead of saying like, you're not doing this good, you should do it like this. And why are you behaving like this? You should ask him another question, like, what do you think could improve the way that you're doing it right now? So let them think themselves and let them fill in the answers. And then they will be like, yeah, maybe I can do it this way, instead of giving them the answer, like how they should do it.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Like, for example, whenever we have like check-in calls, performance calls with our team members, I make sure to always start with the positive things, even if there aren't
Always.
many. I try to figure like
Always,
what
yeah.
positive thing, preach
Mhm.
as much as I can, because then you transition to like the negative thing, which you actually want to talk about. This is much easier, because they're already positive. They'll take criticism more easily, and of course, also you have to word it the right way. You can't be very direct.
Bro, I me myself as a person, I'm pretty direct, also in my private life, and a lot of people have been, new people that come into my life that don't know me like how my old friends, my longer friends do. They're like, what the fuck? He's so direct. And I've also been doing this towards my employees, and I still regret it. Sometimes I'm just like, bro, you're talking shit, or like, bro, your work is shit. Bro, you're a burden to me. I even said that at my deepest down point in my life, because I didn't feel good myself. And do you really think, I asked myself later, like half a year later, like maybe a few weeks ago, did I really think that saying to my employee that he's a burden to me would make him work better for me? It's a rhetorical question. Of course not. Why would someone work better? The person would even feel more down, like from all the work that he delivered, and he's still saying to me that I'm a burden to him. And he even told it like, but I feel so bad because after everything I did for you, and it was Raju in this case, and he was like, I'm still a burden to you. And it didn't make him work better, and it didn't make me work better at all. So in case of saying like, you're a burden to me, you should do it better. And that's basically when the whole business is not doing well at that moment. But still, if you want to get out of this gap, like of this bad results, you got to be positive, because negativity is only going to make it worse. So even if you are having a very bad situation within your business, you still got to behave like you're about to crush it, because like it's going to affect everyone. And that's what I've seen, and that's how I learned from it. I will never make the same mistakes again, because at that certain moment I was like almost, well, not literally, but like virtually shouting to everyone within my organization, like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, do it like this, do it like this, your work is shit. And it only became worse. So instead of saying like you're not doing it properly, you're not doing it how I want it, ask themselves what they actually think about the work that they deliver. And then they're probably going to say, well, I'm not 100% satisfied. And then you got to ask them, like, what would you do if you were starting it all over again in order not to make the same mistakes and to actually feel satisfied? That's something it's another angle on how you should start your conversation with your employees when it goes to evaluating the kind of work that they deliver for you.
This reminds me of a small story I heard from a friend of mine. Basically, it was either him or his dad. They were talking with one guy. He was running like as a business, it was a big business. I don't know the exact numbers, but that's what I remember. They were doing probably like mid 8 figures, something like that, or like close to 9 figures. And they met the owner, and they asked like, "Hey, how are you doing? Like, how's everything going?" They said like, "We're doing great. Business is crushing it, etc., etc." 3 days later, they went bankrupt. And he knew at that day the business would be going bankrupt, but he still kept the spirit just in case. In the slightest case, they make it through. Like they'd be good. It's tough, but like what you told me just reminded me of that.
But you told me that after 3 days the business went bankrupt.
Yeah, so like officially, like it was already in the process of going bankrupt. But then 3 days later they closed like entirely, because previously like no one was really talking about them going out of business. They were like the founder was still like talking about like, yeah, like we're crushing it, we're doing this, we're doing that. 3 days later went bankrupt. He knew like they were going bankrupt. Like he knew the financials. He knew the process was already going.
But
So,
there's a difference between trying to behave positive in a negative situation or not trying to fuck your ego. Like if you have a 9-figure business, like me personally, like people always ask me, especially people that are not in the same business as I am, how's business going? How's business going? And I don't fucking care. I also tell them when business goes bad. Like business is not going good, man, to be honest. But I'll get there. It's no problem. It's all part of the journey that I'm following. Like, but sometimes people just have their egos. Like, business is going good, it's going well, because they feel like they have to represent them as a pretty successful guy that only has great numbers. But everyone has to experience a downfall. I recently came back like from a downfall. I had a burnout for like over half a year, and I think I saw hundreds of thousands of euros like going up in fire, or however you want to call it, basically because I became lethargic and I was procrastinating every day. I was saying like, whatever, I'll do this tomorrow, and like, whatever, everything will solve itself, everything will be all right. Who the fuck is going to do it for you? If you're behaving in such a negative way against your employees, do you really think your employees are going to solve your problems? Of course not. And it took me fucking half a year until I realized that I was doing shit. Like, what the actual fuck am I doing? Like, I'm just behaving like everything is going well, everything is going fine, but it's not, because first of all, me as a person is not doing well, because instead of getting energy out of my work, I'm getting more and more tired of doing the same thing over and over again and not getting the same results as I used to do before. And like, when I started with this business, I could easily work 16 to 80 hours a day and still continue the next day doing the same. And that's the reason why I could quit my job in like a month. And I was already generating such an amount of money that I couldn't generate with working for a boss. I would have to work for 2 years, which I then earned in my second month. And it's only subject to the amount of work I was able to put in. And my real motivation to do that was not the money. There's one thing, and that was freedom, because I realized myself at that moment that I would always be subject to feeling down if I stayed working for a boss. So the only way to get out of this rat race is to start a business myself. And that's what made me run so hard for this. And then when you have everything you want, then your whole mindset is going to change. You're like, I already have money. I already have my employees. I already have a team of 23 people. I don't have to work. Everyone works for me. And then there's some kind of a gap within your organization. And whenever you find out that some people are making these mistakes, it's already too late. The damage is already too big, because like small damages you will not find out about if the money still comes in. But when you find out that something within your organization is not doing good, it's not doing well, then you find out there's a problem. And the problem is already that big that only you as a CEO can fix it, not the COO, not the operations manager, not anyone within your organization. And that's basically when you're fucked. And that's what made me realize, like, I don't have to act like I'm some kind of superhuman, because my business has only been doing well for a couple of months without me interfering with the operational process. You always got to seek for more. You always got to stay hungry. But like the motivation from inside changes when you have accomplished your goal. So my first goal was getting out of the rat race and being an entrepreneur and having freedom and working whenever I want, wherever I want. So when I achieved that, there was no other purpose for me anymore.
No next step.
Yeah, exactly. So you gotta make sure that you step up your goal. You go to the next one, from the other one to the next one, and make sure that you always have goals that you want to work for.
Maybe this is like I think this is a good segue back into like your e-com journey. So you mentioned like if at the start you were selling like IT softwares, IT solutions, like why you wanted to start a business, but like how did you actually get started? Like why dropshipping? Why e-commerce? How?
Yeah, well, like if there was another module, I would probably have followed another module. But at that moment, like some of my friends were already doing, well, we're starting e-commerce, and they were like, "Yeah, you can still generate a lot of money." And I was like, "Yeah, but I have another plan ahead of me. I want to become a supervisor. When I'm a supervisor, I want to become a sales manager. When I'm a sales manager, I want to become on the board of directors." You know, I had already a whole plan in my mind how I would like step up my game in the corporate business. But then when COVID came, and I was really demotivated because I had certain amount of sales. Like there was
This is
even
like early 2020, right?
yeah, early 2020, before COVID hit us, like before the official announcement of COVID. So I would say like between let's say July 2019 and January 2020. So you know, I was starting with this IT business, and I came there with zero knowledge. And the boss, before I started working there with my job application conversation, he was like, "Yeah, and we're going to teach you everything. You will get a car and a computer and a mobile phone." And he almost accomplished everything of what he said. I got a car, I got a phone, I got a computer, but no one helped me with acquiring the knowledge to sell stuff properly. So I was there on my own, and we had like two departments. Like the first floor was with all the salesmen like me, and like the ground floor was with the ICT people that were executing the IT stuff. I would say IT because you guys don't know ICT. So like the engineers, let's say the engineers, and like the engineers were of my age, and the salesmen were like, I would say like 40 plus. So there was really not something that was equal that we were talk about. Like I wouldn't say like, yeah, I went to a party and I fixed two bitches. I wouldn't say that to one of my colleagues that's fucking 40 years old, right? And it's even a woman. So so like, but when I went to the ground floor, there were people like the same age as me, and I was always joking with them, like oh, you're a crazy guy, you can't do shit, you know, making jokes. And they were like, oh, who the fuck are you? So we were always like having fun with each other. But the boss saw that we were having fun with each other. And you know, when I had my first official meeting to evaluate how I was doing my first half year, and if my contract would be extended, you know what he said? I was about to walk in the meeting room, and I was not even sitting on my chair. He was sitting on his chair like this, looking at me. You're only costing me money. That's the first sentence that he said, and I will never forget it anymore in my life. You're only costing me money. And I said, what do you mean? Well, because whenever I walk on the ground floor, I see that you guys are always laughing at each other, making jokes. And that never happened before with the engineers. But because you're sitting with the engineers right now, they are distracted from their work because they're only joking around with you. And I was like, come on, man. And the reason why I went to the ground floor, besides having more fun with the people, is because I could actually learn and experience how the engineers were executing their job. So I could take it into my own conversation with my potential customers, right? Because I have to tell them what we're actually doing. And like nobody from the sales wants to learn from me, so I have to learn it myself. So he was like, yeah, you're only costing me money, but we're going to extend your contract with 1 year. I was like, if I'm costing you money, why would you extract my contract with 1 year? So, and he said, you're not going to sit downstairs anymore. You're only going to sit upstairs with the other salesman. So I was like, yeah, whatever. At that moment, I already acquired enough knowledge to know how to sell my IT solutions properly. And yeah, it went good. It went great. Like we had one big project coming up, and there were like 4 participants, and they were like, let Kevin just do that. He probably won't make it, but yeah, let's see it, because we still have to show our potential customer that we are actually willing to enter this kind of deals, right? And you know what happened? I won the fucking deal. So we had to replace like 240 workspaces from a big health organization, and they were like, "Oh, how are they going to do this? We never experienced such a big project before." And I was like, "Well, I got it. So now it's up to you to make it sure with the engineers." And you know what the boss said to me? "Good man, go get yourself a cake." I was like, "Bro, fucking 150,000 euros in your pocket, and you're going to tell me to buy myself a fucking cake." But then I was like, there's no appreciation from the person that I look up to the most within the organization, which is of course the CEO, the founder of the company. And if there is no appreciation from that guy, then what motivates me to work harder? So then COVID hit us, and we had to work from home. And that's the moment when you, as a CEO, see who's loyal to you. And of course, I wasn't loyal at all. I was like, "Fuck you! You know, you've been with me like if I'm some kind of a kid that just doesn't do his work properly, and you don't care. You don't see any value in me. Then why would I do exactly what Jacob said? Like, why would I try to sell one more extra piece if no one's giving me value?
100%.
Sorry, not value. What word did I use?
Compensation, like extra, yeah, compensation, like
Yeah,
100%.
and beside of compensation, fuck, can't come up with the word. I recently said
Appreciation?
it. Yes, exactly, appreciation. Like, and I think for me, appreciation was even more valuable than the money, because if people
Yeah, because
really
you're an A
appreciate-
player, right? You're an A player. You want to know like the work you put in is being recognized.
Exactly. And like, it's not always subject to money. It's also subject to that the people actually see what you're doing and they appreciate you. And that's the same that we got to learn as young entrepreneurs as well, to show some kind of appreciation towards your employees. Because if you only think that they're doing as how they should be and it's nothing special, and they don't feel any appreciation, their work will become shit eventually.
100%. And basically, to kind of then you use this as like a motivation, as like a segue into your own business, right? So you use basically all this like built-in motivation as start of your own thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's one thing I really learned from this journey, from like the past 2 years, is that you have to show more appreciation to yourself at first, because if you cannot appreciate yourself, you can definitely not appreciate your employees. So that's why I'm writing down everything every day. What do I appreciate in life? Why do I appreciate myself? How would I see myself like in the future? What's my perfect life? And if you already get associated with this kind of stuff, your brain already starts absorbing this positivity, and it's going to replace the negativity with positivity. And sometimes when we have a simple conversation just like this one, other people can already feel that you're being positive, and they will adapt to your kind of thinking, and they will absorb your kind of vibrations. And that's something it's more beneficial. It's just an example, but it's more beneficial that my employees are taking these vibrations in consideration and working the same like you than you guys, because we both have our separate businesses, so the key point in what I'm trying to say is that it's very beneficial that if you have loyal employees, that they adapt to your way of thinking.
They see the vision, right? But that's what you mean, yeah.
Exactly. Like what I already said, I was totally not loyal to my boss, because my boss was not appreciating me at all. I made sure that he was earning 150,000 extra with one single deal, and he was like, "Oh, go buy yourself a cake." He was telling me, "You're only costing me money." And as a young boy of like 23 years old, that broke me. I was like, "Where the fuck am I working for? Like, what's my purpose of working within this organization if the guy that's the highest in this whole pyramid, in this whole business construction, in this organization, is not even satisfied about my work? Then who else do I want to impress? My other colleagues that are also making sales? Of course not. I want to make sure that I'm impressing the boss of the company. And if he says that I'm only costing him money, then where the fuck am I getting more motivated from? And I made the exact same mistake, even that I thought that I learned from it by saying it to Raju, like, you're only costing me money. And of course, that's bullshit. But you mostly, when you're trying to talk down and look down on people, it's an excuse for yourself that you're not doing properly. So because I'm fucking up my business, I'm like, that's not my problem. It's my ego. It's your ego that you don't want to touch. It's not me. It's not me that's subject to my business doing shit right now. It's Raju. It's my CEO. These are my employees. But that's not true.
100%. Like I'm very big into like introspection, like also like self-awareness. Like this is exactly like the thing I have noticed. So whenever, for example, I'm having a lazy day, where I'm feeling like angry, sad, or down, I'm more likely to complain and like call out other people, like, why are you doing this and this? But if I'm being on my A game, like working hard, etc., I don't even have the time to complain about those things because I'm myself and positive. Yeah. And also here, maybe like a quick tip for you and like other listeners, like what I have noticed works really well, and also this is kind of backed by some studies. I'm not going to be able to explain a study like perfectly, but to paraphrase essentially the foundings were that I think it was something about rats or something about compliments, but essentially the best motivation boosts were basically random compliments or random boosts. Not like every day you're giving them some kind of compliment, but like randomly, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, just give like a random compliment to a person. For example,
That also works with girls, man.
Yeah, just don't be predictable. Random gifts, random compliments that work the best because they're gonna then want to get more because it's not predictable.
Exactly.
And yeah,
but you gotta make sure that it doesn't feel forced. Like, oh yeah, it's 2:00. Oh, you're doing so good. You're doing so well.
Yeah. Natural, unpredictable works really well.
Yeah, that's true, man. Like, and these are kind of subjects that you're learning by experience, because after 2 years I evaluate and I was like, I've been in this situation that I was only negative. Like, you gotta make sure that you're doing it well, work harder, work more, but that's not going to work. It's only going to make it worse.
100%. Like the team is your vehicle to success, so you definitely gotta take care of them.
How do you guys deal with it right now? Because how many people do you have in your organization right now?
Ooh,
a lot.
60 something. I think 60 is like I think somewhere
50,
around
60.
with like the
how
sales
much, 60?
team.
50 to 60. But
50, like crazy, man.
With sales team, designers, everything is around there.
But this is like a blown up number. You gotta be transparent. I like the core team, like closer to full time, it's maybe 20 to 30 people because a lot of them are on a contract basis. But
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, like we have gone through like the same things you have mentioned, Carl. Like starting off in your first hire, the first thing you expect them to perform on the level you are performing on. That's obviously not going to be the case. They don't have a share within a company. They don't have the same motivation. And then also just hiring decisions, hiring the right people, motivating the people, just giving them the right incentives, tips, tricks, training, best practices, feedback.
I've one tip for you guys, like how I train my employees without actually training them. And that sounds kind of weird, but like, what I do when normally when you hire someone, you're having calls with them and you're trying to explain them how they should do it, and then you end your call and they were like, oh fuck, I forgot to ask this or I forgot to ask that. So what I do right now is I work within Trello and I literally execute every task that they have to do. So let's say, for example, how to build a store from scratch to a successful store that's live with all the payment providers that you need. I do everything myself, but I record everything that I do. And while I'm doing it, I'm explaining them within the video why I do it and how I do it. Then when I completed the video, I separate it in different parts. It's every different kind of subject, different kind of task that they have to do. When I do that, when I'm done with that, I'm making a Trello board with a checkup list. So where they can check everything that they have to do. So for example, first, register with Shopify. Second, start making a product page or whatever. I'm just saying random stuff. Then add the payment providers, then add the email to Freshdesk, then add the employees to the right email address. And I'm making a whole bullet point list. And what makes it stronger is the videos. So they have to make sure that everything of the bullet point list is checked. And it takes some time. It maybe takes up to a few days. But when you have everything written down, there's nothing they can miss out on, because they have to check everything. Like, check the boxes. I've done this, I've done that. And you make sure that it's in the right order from scratch to making a store successful. So in the right order, what they have to do. And whenever you do that, and you will make it more powerful with videos where you do it yourself, and they will never ask you questions anymore. Maybe a few, because they can always rely on the video that you made them. So they can literally scroll back, like within the video. How did they do that? Oh yeah, like this. And that's what I did for everything. That's what I did for my NFT project, or for the NFT projects that we are getting a whitelist on. That's what we do for the websites. That's what I even did with my financial employee. And I never had a conversation with her showing her what she has to do. She already could already rely on the videos and the Trello board.
One like rapid question I have.
Mm-hmm.
When do you know that an employee is shit and you should fire them versus they don't have the right information? How do you, like, and someone new comes in, how do you determine that?
Bro, I've literally worked it out so well that they cannot have any excuse to not have the right information. And that's already how you can see if an employee is actually being capable of doing what you want. Because if I give you a video, if I give you a checklist, what to do, and you still haven't done it properly, then I'm going to ask you, like, no, not immediately, okay. Because sometimes people might not understand. Maybe it's the kind of the way of your talking. Maybe they don't understand what you mean. Like, maybe they don't want to bother you with questions because they're afraid that you're busy and you're getting angry because you're wasting my time with asking questions. You know, there are a lot of aspects that could count in this matter, because you don't know how their former employees were reacting to them whenever they asked a question. Sometimes people are just too scared to ask a question. So first of all, I would just ask them, like, is there anything that's wrong with my video or with the checklist that you don't understand? And if they're like, nah, it's okay, but they're still not executing the task properly, that means that they're not capable of executing the task properly. And at that certain moment, you can actually decide for yourself, it might be better if I hire someone else to do this task. Like, and you can already tackle the fact that they don't have the knowledge if you literally make videos for every step that they have to do with executing their tasks. You know, like if you tell someone to, in your case, like invite someone to have access to the store, add this person to Klaviyo, add an email flow, add the flow like this, fill this in the header, make sure that this email address is filled in, like literally taking it step by step. Then how could they still do it wrong? Only if they didn't take time to watch your video, or if they wanted to rush their job, you know?
Right, that makes sense.
So yeah, it takes some time, but if you make sure that you have done every step within the operations, you recorded it, you made a bullet point list, you can actually see if they checked every single step within the bullet point list, then there's no excuse left for them why they shouldn't do it properly. Only if they're not capable of doing it. And then you can already decide for yourself pretty fast if you want to keep them or you want to hire someone else for the task.
Yeah, that's a very actionable, like a very valuable tip.
Yeah, because like if people are not executing the tasks how they should be, it can probably be subject to the fact that you were lacking in giving them the information, right? During the conversation, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. And then you hang up and they were like, fuck, what did Rainis or Jacob tell me to do again? Oh, and I don't want to feel embarrassed by asking them literally after a conversation, but there was so much information I had to process that I almost forgot half of it. But I cannot ask them because I will make myself look if I'm dumb. And then they're just going to do anything, and they will just fuck it up more. But if they can scroll back in the video and see it again to see what they actually have to do, they will not make the mistakes. And if they still make the mistakes, that means that they want to rush their job and they're not taking it seriously.
Okay, so it's basically learning on the job, and then you figure out if they're a good fit. So yeah, it seems very, very efficient. Right now, I think the episode is getting on the longer end, so I think there's one final question maybe from my side before we cut it off. This is like a question we will most likely ask to all of our guests, so which I'm also very curious about. So that question is like, what is your big 5-year plan? Do you still see yourself in e-commerce, other venues? Talk about that.
Well, there are a lot of things I actually want to do. So I definitely want to quit dropshipping, because it's whenever you do it, it's always problems. Right now, I also build a team, also with literally making the videos and showing them step by step what to do for. I don't know if you guys know bol.com, also dropshipping with European suppliers, and they are doing their work right now, and we're going to see what it takes, what it's going to bring us. And then if the products have potential, I might sell them as a brand, because I have how do I say it, like it's fulfilled by Amazon, but then with bol.com, so I have the fulfillment over there. And beside that, I build a team that is doing the whitelisting for NFT projects, and I'm really thinking myself about creating an NFT project myself as well. But there are so many things going around right now, and I really have to focus on what's bringing me money, and that's still e-commerce. But like as you guys already know, I'm not going to tell the website, of course, but I'm trying to sell one of my websites, and I think I'm going to get a nice bag of it. That's the moment when I'm probably going to lay down drop shipping and going to focus more on branding, NFT project. And what I also want to do is like offer coaching, like literally in the things that I told you guys, like how to get more motivated, how to motivate your people, the employees that work for you, how to structurize your company, and most of all, how to motivate yourself.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Looking forward to following you on this journey. Then maybe as we kind of wrap up this episode, what do you want to let the people know about? Where the people can find you? What's your IG? What's your other platforms? Let the people know.
First of all, never take for granted what you have, because sometimes, like when you become an entrepreneur, your stress level goes up crazily. Because when I had a 9 to 5, when it was 5, I put everything down. I was like, every shit that comes will come tomorrow. I don't care. I'm still getting the same salary at the end of the month. But that's not subject to when you're an entrepreneur. So never take for granted what you have, because you're like, Facebook bans me. Google fucks me up. My Shopify, my payment providers are fucking me up. But there's one thing that you actually achieved, and that is like financial independency, because you can work wherever you want, whenever you want. Or I already said that, wherever you want, whatever. Like, without being anyone that's looking down on you. Like, are you doing it properly? Do it like this. Do it like this. So yeah, do it like that. So yeah. It's a freedom that you created yourself. And since I've been having this freedom, I have so much space to evaluate what I've been doing wrong, how I could do it better. Like, so much space to use my creative mind to find new business opportunities. And whenever you're in a rat race, there's always someone putting your head on the water, and you never have the space of actually use your brain and being creative. So never take for granted the freedom that you actually achieve yourself as an entrepreneur. And if you're not an entrepreneur yourself, then there are always ways to become one. But there's only one thing that you actually have to show, and that's your balls. You got to take the risk. You don't got to ask yourself what if. Like, yeah, you can ask yourself, like, what if I haven't done this, but not what if it doesn't work well, what if I'm going to fail? Everyone's going to fail. But in order to be successful, you gotta fill yourself first. So yeah,
take the step, take the plunge, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're failing, there's probably always a new job that you can actually find and start over again. But that's not the right mindset.
But Kevin, if someone wants to reach out to you, talk to you, or for example, get your coaching or whatever, where can I find you?
Bro, on Instagram, man. Follow me, Kevin Dominic.
Kevin Dominic.
Yes.
In the bio, we'll put it in. Thank you, Kevin, for the podcast. It's been wonderful having you here. We'll stay grateful and talk to you soon.
Yeah, I really would really love to talk with you guys again after you did some more podcasts to see how you guys improved yourself in creating those podcasts, to see what kind of progress you made. All right?
100%. Let's do it. That's the plan.
Right.
Thank you, man.
Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.
If you thought this episode is valuable, share it with a friend that may find this useful and leave a 5-star review so you can reach more influential people and bring the lessons back to you. See you in the next episode.